Have faith that right makes might. And in that faith, that right makes might.
Knowing exactly.
And in that faith, let us to the end.
This ICRA was slightly different than past ICRAs, follows along the line of IJARS, but even then it's a slight difference. I like the fact of having the large keynotes, but then these mini keynotes, because you get to see a lot more people. It's not the paper, you know, because you see a paper, it's like I can read that. But these keynotes are a nice overview, a snapshot of what's going on in that field by well-renowned folks, coupled with the main keynotes. And so I think that flavor, we're going to continue it because it just works so well. And as, you know, an old school roboticist, you know, I want to see those folks, and the papers I can read and my students can read. And so I think that's scientific value. I love the fact that the keynotes are different in terms of both industry participants as well as the academic participants, because not all students are going to be academics, you know, and there's now a rising world of industry leaders in robotics. And so I think that transition and that basically the diversity of speakers is a good thing for the community as well.
I think the highlight of this conference is the fact it's been organized only by women. That's it. and so, I mean, it's not to say that men are not doing an outstanding job, they are, but I think it was great to showcase how many of us are here, and that I think that I must really thank Lynn Parker for putting that together, and I think it was pretty outstanding in that sense.
Well, this ICRA was very successful in terms of attendees, actually. It was organized by women only. It's the first time that all the committees, the organizing committees, have been set up with women only. And robotics is not exactly the field where there are many women, like many other fields of engineering. So this is a very good thing. There was a couple of interesting sessions on soft robotics. Of course, this is my area, so I'm very happy two sessions were set up on this topic, and they were very well attended. So they were really crowded, and for me it's really nice to see that, because when I started soft robotics, I thought it was quite different from traditional robotics, and traditional conferences and basic conferences like ICRA and IJARS in robotics could not really well receive this kind of new works. So after a few years, seeing that there are important sessions and also workshops on this topic with this name, and they are crowded with attendees, and many papers have been presented in this field, is very, very rewarding. Yeah.
I always go to ICRA because you see a very big overview of different applications and methodologies and concepts useful in robotics. So as a professor, we saw that we have different type of applications. We work from actuators and we go to different kind of applications, from co-workers for industry, so manipulators, prostheses, exoskeletons, social robots. So here we can see and take ideas from other fields, and I think that's the most important. I think what was striking for me is in the exhibition that also companies like Ford, Nissan, Tesla, and so on were here, which I never saw on the conference exhibition, which I think shows the importance and the rising applications in robotics in different parts of the society. So I think the valorization becomes more and more important, which is also for research very important, because it means that if you have real applications and end users in companies, that they will have new questions and like that feed new research questions. So I think it's very important that the prototypes we develop in the universities and research institutes find their way to the society, because I think robotics are good to face societal challenges like aging and reshoring work and so on, and create new economical markets which will create welfare and jobs and so on.
Well, there was a very neat paper on a new hand using a material that is adhesive but not sticky. So they devised like two fingers that can hold, for instance, a basketball ball, very big. Just the hand is really relatively small with respect to this big ball. And just with a motion very quickly, it can be used to grasp it and also to release it. It's something, and it's very cheap because the components are very cheap. So I think it's a very neat idea, but it's a small contribution. It's not, but it's nice.
Some presentations were really packed, and some issues which are sometimes considered as solved or considered as quite known. There are a lot of papers on this. For example, there's a session on navigation and localization and so on. And some people say navigation is a solved problem. Not at all. We have some basic knowledge and understanding about navigation, motion planning also. This was another packed session. But to achieve a system that is capable to do navigation in an open environment with moving objects, that's not yet achieved, even if we have a lot of advances, of course. So highlights of the conference, difficult to say. I loved the keynote this morning, actually. The plenary was amazing, but this is a plenary.
I think that the highlight of this ICRA conference is to see that now industry is picking up also the visions and ideas which have been developed in the last 20, 30 years in research labs. And I think it's a fascinating time, a fascinating moment to see that these technologies are really going to be and see markets in the near future. And I think this motivates also researchers and young people to get even more involved and dedicated to this field.
Well, I think that right now there's quite a big attention in the human-machine interaction. I'm not saying that it's mostly related to robotic rehabilitation of assistive technology, but you know, it seems that the robotics is drifting from a more industrial application to a more user-centered application. Okay, so human in the loop, I would say.
Oh, for me, the highlight from this year's ICRA is, this will sound cynical. For the first time in a long time, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of good stuff that I see. And that's not always happening. It might be because I'm always in meetings, and this year I'm in fewer meetings, but the amount of good stuff I've seen by young people is really impressive, and it makes me very happy.
Yeah, I have to agree. The highlight has been there's a lot more impressive research being presented, and the other thing that's impressive is the exhibitions. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of organizations who are here solely to recruit roboticists. So robotics is a hot area now, and if you're good at robotics, not to say you should quit your jobs and go into robotics, although I recommend it, you can get a good job.